Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 says that for everything there is a season. For everything there's a season. I noticed as I was driving down the road this morning just how beautiful the fall foliage is starting to get. Leaves are starting to change, and we're moving into a new season. For the last actually 2 or 3 weeks, every night I've been running my air conditioner in my bedroom because my bedroom gets so hot, and it's the only window that I have that I can open. But the rest of my house I've had windows open, and it was cooler in the rest of the house than it was in my bedroom. And so because the season was changing, I no longer needed an air conditioner in my bedroom. Now I needed to take that air conditioner out and open my window. So yesterday evening I took the air conditioner out of my window and opened left my window open with a screen in. And last night I got the best night of sleep I have in a long time, because instead of refusing to recognize the seasons change, I took advantage of the seasons change and took my air conditioner out and left my window open. And of course, I'm always really excited as the fall season comes, but every season that comes into our life isn't a season that we love. Some of you are terrified that fall is coming because that means that winter is just around the corner. Others of you, like myself, you're so happy that summer is over because you're tired of being hot all the time and you're looking forward to being able to be cool or even cold. And as we think about these seasons, the book of Ecclesiastes actually has this really cool chapter that talks about all of the different seasons of life. So check out this real quick. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verses 1 through I'm going to read through verse 15. For everything there's a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do people really get for all their hard work? I've seen the burden of God that God has placed on us all. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart. But even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. So I concluded that there's nothing better than to be happy and to enjoy ourselves as long as we can. And people should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of their labor, for these are the gift of God. And I know that whatever God does is final. Nothing can be added to it or taken away from it. God's purpose is that people should fear Him. What's happening now has happened before. And what will happen in the future has happened before, because God makes the same things happen over and over again. Now, as I look at this passage of scripture, there's different times in our life, and you know what? We would like to be able to control the seasons, wouldn't we? We would like to be able to control the seasons, but God controls the seasons. Life circumstances will happen. Storms will come and storms will go. We don't control the seasons of life. You can't be young forever. You can't be old when you're young. There's seasons of life. There's going to be times you go through trials and times that you have happiness. There's going to be times you scatter stones and times you gather stones. Before you reap a harvest, you always have to plant a harvest. There's always seasons in life. And so today, I just want to throw a thought-provoking message out there to you today. What season of life are you in? And are you living as if you were in that season? Are you 40 and trying to act 20? Are you going through a season of grief and you're trying to pretend to be happy? Or are you should have gone through a season of grief and are refusing to come out of it because God's turned things around and now He's giving you joy, but you're refusing to recognize it? What season are you in? For me, I'm in a different season of life than I've ever been in. I'm in a season of where I have 4 kids in my household. Man, that life looks very different than 4 years ago when it was just me and my wife. And that looked very different than it did 8 years ago when I was single and doing whatever I want. But this season is a great season. I love this season, but I need to learn how to live in this season. God makes all things beautiful in His time. And so the season that God's placed you in is supposed to be beautiful in His time. It means that you're going to learn something great out of it, or you're going to learn to adjust to live in it, and it's going to be a great thing. So just as you're driving down the road and you see the fall foliage begin to turn, and it's so beautiful, embrace that season and recognize that God has you in a season. Maybe it's a season where all your leaves are beautiful. Maybe you're in a season where all your leaves have seemed to just fall off and rot on the ground. Maybe you're in a season that seems like it's cold and barren. But let me remind you that then spring comes and God makes every season beautiful in its time. So what should we do? We should enjoy every day and praise the God who made every day and ask God, what's your will for me in this day that you have given me? Because only God knows the beginning from the end. He's planted eternity in the heart of us so that we know that there's another day. We know that God's going to do something great, but we don't know the beginning from the end. We don't know why God has placed us in the season that we're in. But you can't change the season. God has placed you in that season. So worship Him the best you can in that season, and bring Him as much glory as you can. And in His time, there's a good chance you'll see why you went through that season. But one thing's for sure, if you do worship God in the season, you'll recognize how great and how glorious He is. So thanks for listening today. God bless and keep growing.